Who would have ever imagined that a group of middle-aged women, keen on knitting, sewing and cooking, would one day have staged a protest that attracted worldwide attention?
From Collingwood, from Murchison, 300 people in Murchison have signed this petition. In Tadmore Valley, where the train goes, every single person but one has signed it. So clearly this is a popular railway. We should keep it open and we should push it on to Murchison.
I heard that Sonia Davis is involved.
Are you ladies supporting this protest?
If there are such ladies, I will definitely be supporting them 100%. Definitely. Yes, 100%. Yes. Mrs. Perkins, Mrs. Grace Perkins.
Frances Appleby. And I'm...
Lovely, thank you ladies.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving down.
Please, you've been invited here today by the current Commissioner of the Nelson Railway to embark on a historic journey, which is a privilege in itself, but we don't know what we're going into out there, so there's to be no heroics. Understand?
No heroics.
Thank you. And you are to follow the lawful instructions of the railway personnel and the police at all times. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Here we are today on this very sad day on the last train. I think it's time we got aboard. All aboard if you would please. All aboard.
It was sometimes called the Railway to Nowhere, as it never reached its intended destination of connecting the city of Nelson to the main trunk railway. Construction of the railway had begun in 1873 and continued in various stages until it ceased construction in 1933. At that stage it still had another 70 kilometres to build to reach its targeted main trunk connection. The local citizens realised that with the railway closure and the lifting of the rails themselves, all hope of connecting their city with the main trunk and the rest of the South Island was gone forever. And so it was in September 1955 that a group of local women staged a historic 10-day sit-in in an effort to stop the closure and lifting of the rails. Now, more than 60 years later, a group of local actors are re-enacting the historic protest. The government of the day had already given a 1-year extension in the hope that the amount of freight carried could be built up to an economic return, but the freight target had not been achieved. Transport on the improving local roads was proving too much of a competition. The Prime Minister of the day, Sidney Holland, was very annoyed at the protest. He believed that communist agitators were responsible, and as this was still the height of the Cold War, New Zealand security police were sent along to check out any possible communist participation. But it was just a peaceful protest put on by a group of local concerned women, and although the protest attracted attention from around the world, it was ultimately not successful. The closure went ahead and all the rails were removed.
What's going on here then? Anybody think this was a spectator sport? Yeah. Last time! All causing trouble! I was only down here yesterday, looking at that shed over there, giving it an inspection of good shape. It's full of dry rot, has to come down. Load of old rot. So this is what New Zealand security police do now, is it building inspections? No, we've come to look for communists. That's Ruth Payne there. She's made it national all her life. You couldn't get anybody more conservative than her. Well, hello. Good afternoon, Ruth.
Good morning, Mr. Julio. I trust you're well.
Proverbs.
There were speeches made by various protesters and railway staff, and it was obvious that even some of the railway staff were sympathetic and supportive of the protesters. But it was all to no avail. And in the end, the police arrived and arrested 9 of the women protesters.
Please, ladies, you've been warned by myself, by Mr. Whitehead here, and also Mr. Curran, I believe, need you to leave quietly and with dignity, offering that if you did so, there'd be no comeback, no charges laid against you.
Senior Sergeant George, thank you, but we're going to stay put.
Well
We're
done.
not
Carry on. That's right, we're not leaving. We want to be arrested. Grace is rubbish. Trumped up charges.
All right, Valentine. I'm sorry, ladies, but you leave me no choice. Ruth Page, Tonya Davies, Leslie Bartlett, Jean Bennett, Doris Price, Jean Robertson, Eleanor Spedden, Jean Holt and Zena Pearce. I'm arresting you for trespassing on railway property and the obstruction of a working railway. Men, take them to the cars, please.
We'll see you in court, ladies. We'll be there.
With the protesters taken away, the audience reboard the train to head for the next stage of the reenactment.
Ladies, you were arrested on Friday the 30th of September at Kiwi Railway Station under the Railways Act. From there you were taken to Nelson Police Station. Where you were fed and watered. Thank you, sir.
Well, we were hungry, weren't we, Doris? That's right. We hadn't eaten since before 8 o'clock.
Yes, so
All right, that'll do.
You know, we had a nice cream from the Tupperware store on the way back, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But don't you worry, we paid for our own.
Yes, we did. Oh, well, apart from Ruth, because when the storekeeper realised who she was, he said he wanted to pay for it, didn't he? Yeah. So, never.
You were charged under the Railways Act of 1949 with obstructing the workings of a railway and trespassing on railway property. For each offence, there is a maximum fine of £50 or 6 months imprisonment of the fees and evidence. Quiet in the cafes on payment of bail of £20 each and a promise not to return to the railway over the weekend. I trust you have complied with these terms.
Yes.
All right.
Frankly, ladies, I'm surprised at you. How well-respected women of good upbringing and moral standing could behave so selfishly and irresponsibly is beyond me. Right. Nor written off as a misguided prank. These women have taken matters into their own hands and must now reap the consequences.
Rubbish, rubbish.
Sir,
These ladies, the Nilsson Railway was closed on the 13th of June 1954. Cabinet considered its decision and on Monday the 14th of June decided that to be viable, the Nilsson Railway must carry a minimum of 25,000 tonnes annually. The following day, Tuesday, the 15th of June, Prime Minister Sidney Holland issued a challenge. A reprieve was given until the 31st of July to allow the region time to produce an acceptable form of guaranteed freight. By the 20th of July, the Railway Advisory Committee of the Progress League produced a report and guaranteed said tonnage. As we know, the tonnage for the following 12 months was just over 16,000. And so the Nilsson Railway was closed on the 3rd of September this year, 1955.
Yes, Mr. Crutchley, we know all that. Please get on with it.
Sir.
Yes.
These ladies stand accused of charges under the Government Railway Act 1949, namely obstructing the working of a railway and trespassing on a railway. Since the railway was officially closed on the 3rd of September, I suggest that it was no longer a railway.
Right. Exactly right.
These charges are a nonsense and should be dropped forthwith.
And I find the defendants guilty as charged.
In that case, sir, I would like to make a submission in the question of penalty.
Very well, Mr. Crutchley, proceed.
These women did not act for limited purpose. They were actuated by principles which they considered extremely important. Their actions were not limited to protesting against the closure of a railway line, but more against the individual losing his importance and his self-worth. There was no suggestion of damaging railway property, and the protest was carried out entirely without malice. Furthermore, these women are respected members of the community. And entirely sincere in their actions. It's good. It is unfortunate that they have broken the law in proving their point, but they are first offenders in the truest sense of the word. They have asked me to convey their appreciation to the police and the railway officials who they realise had their duty to carry out. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Crutchley, the actions of the defendants have been foolish and futile in the extreme. If the tempers had prayed, it could have been developed into a very nasty situation and the outcome could have been much worse.
Rubbish.
Why, these women were repeatedly asked to leave the premises and allow the demolition works to proceed. In denying these requests, despite knowing the consequences, they showed very little common sense. Their actions in remaining on railway property were illegal and nothing more than a publicity stunt. No government which has reached a decision in a lawful manner, not once but twice, will be held to ransom by a small group of misguided individuals that allow such actions to frustrate progress.
Shut up!
Ladies, in the light of your obvious desire to be arrested, I feel that the most severe punishment might have been the suppression of your names, had they not been published. And I have considered placing you on probation for 12 months with an order to repay the railway the money lost due to these delays. Everybody has been very tolerant of you, and in light of this, I feel that I should treat you leniently. But that tolerance will cease from today. In view of this, I will fine the defendants all £4 and £1 in costs on each charge. Quiet! Sit down! Order in court! If you speak again, we'll put you out! Sit down! Sit down!
Oh, well done, ladies and gentlemen. There's your money.
No, that will not do. The court requires each woman to pay her own fine.
Very well, ladies. These people.
Thank you, Jean Bennett.
This is all very fine and I appreciate the gesture, but I'd sooner have gone to prison. That would have embarrassed the government no end.
All right, Sonia, just pay the fine.
Thank you.
The Lord will work things out in the proper time. I shan't let it rest.
Very well then.